Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video, and today I'm doing a review of the 12th Doctor, Lost in, almost said time then, Lost Dimensions, Doctor Who comic book, which says 3.8, even though the previous one was like 3.9, but was like part 2 or 3, and yet this is 3.8 there, and this is part 6, so go figure. You've got Peter Capaldi's 12th Doctor, looking epic as usual, with his hands out with a TARDIS, with this sort of shimmering white glow, and that, so yeah. On the back you've got an advertisement for the Torchwood comics, which I really didn't enjoy personally myself. What's out this month from Titan Comics, even though bearing in mind this comic range of sorts is quite old now, so yeah, so that will be out of date basically. And then you've got, like, you know, this thing to help you navigate which ones are next in the series of sorts, yeah. And that of this sort of Lost in Dimensions, nope, not Lost in Dimensions, thingy, yeah, Lost Dimensions even, sort of series. You've got the Reader's Guide thing, again, with the 12th, 11th, 10th and 9th Doctors, and then the 3rd, 4th, 8th and some other doohickeys there. You've also got what happened previously, Titan Comics website, Facebook and Twitter even, and that, and then you've got the rest of this sort of story. Yeah, it flowed really quickly and was really cool, actually. It's kind of weird seeing Jenny, the Doctor's daughter, in this sort of Gallifreyan armour, and that there's a certain panel where she has, yeah, the seal of, like, Rassilon on there, which is just really interesting. And yeah, this, like, sort of armour that we've only really seen in the sort of Time War, and that, it's really interesting to me. And then you've got your boy, the 9th Doctor, being epic, reveal as always, and then you've got the 12th Doctor with Sonic Screwdriver in his mouth for some weird reason, and then you've got this epic shot of the ending and that, and yeah, some close-ups of Jenny's face looking all spooked out, as well as, like, the 12th, 10th and or 9th, 10th and 12th Doctors there, looking pretty scared and whatnot. So yeah, it is like a multi-Doctor-y story. It flowed pretty nicely, and that it starts out in, like, the Doctor's sort of well, it says the Doctor's chambers, which then really threw me off. I was like, wait, what? Where the hell are we? And then I was like, oh right, okay, there's Nardole and there's Bill and that, and we're in a room with books. Okay, we're in the, like, well, not library, but, like, the study room sort of thing that he would have as a professor at the university and that. And yeah, I was totally threw me off for a bit. For a minute there, I was like, wait, what? I think this is the first time I've seen Bill in the comics. And then I remembered, oh wait, I think she premiered in one of the free comic book day comic books a couple of years ago. So yeah, I totally forgot about that. But yeah, it's just really nice sort of seeing Jenny, the Doctor's daughter, back, as that hasn't really happened in the TV show, which is kind of a bit of a plug for a future video that I have in mind to talk about that actually on the channel. You have this really nice wide shot and that sort of panel of, like, the 12th Doctor looking up at the 10th, and then obviously being in the 10th Doctor's TARDIS and that. I like the fact that we might actually, that's just a really good sort of double page spread, really, if I'm being completely honest. But I like the fact that even though we're in this, like, other weird room, I'm 90% sure that's still the TARDIS, I think, and that, but yeah, like, just that, like, what even, like, this sort of thing, like the image is, like, upside down, and the words and that, it was really creative. Like, sort of thing, and then you have Jenny fighting some people and then the reveal of the Ninth Doctor, and it seems like it's building up to something quite epic and that in scale, and that, but obviously I don't really have that much of a context. Even if you're a huge fan of the 12th Doctor, I don't think this one's probably purchased for even the biggest fans of the 12th Doctor. And what I mean by that is, like, there's no real massively Capaldi-esque standout moment or, like, sort of characteristic or idiom, is that the right word? Like, thing that sounds like Capaldi as the Doctor, really, in this issue, really. Maybe he's just sort of snarkiness at 10, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, honestly, the character that I liked the most was probably Jenny, even though none of the characters really sort of stood out to me a lot, really. I think that it was quite fast-paced, as opposed to the 10th Doctor sort of comic book that I just reviewed, and that a moment ago of this recording, but I think maybe some of the other issues and some of the other comics maybe set up some of the other characters and some of the other sort of events, and this one's more the sort of run around episode-y / comic book issue, which again wouldn't be so bad if this was the TV show, because you'd be either watching it every Saturday or binge watching it on Netflix if you were watching it on Netflix for whatever reason, and that, so you could get the context of why they're sort of running around and that a bit more, as opposed to you'd get that bigger context, I guess, as opposed to just sort of picking this one up and then just not getting a lot out of it, maybe. I don't know. It was really interesting and really cool to have Bill and Nardole in this issue as well. Because again, I think, as I said before, I think Bill was introduced in a Free Comic Book Day issue, and I totally forgot she was even introduced into the Titan Comics, to be honest. So that was awesome. That was a neat and awesome surprise. I would really like to probably get all these Lost Dimensions sort of issues, review them all individually, and then maybe do like an overview video in front of the camera, maybe, once I'd actually read them all, and hopefully in order, because that would probably help massively. But I think if you're really into multi-Doctor stories, actually, I think this one would be for you, more so than if you were just into sort of the 12th Doctor. But yeah, it's a decent enough sort of story. I preferred it as opposed to the 10th Doctor one. I liked it a lot more, even though they're more just running around these, away from these sort of infected people, as opposed to like a more established baddie, I guess. There was a nice panel, where were it now, where it had like pictures of lots of different Cybermen. I mean, there's a nice reference to that news reporter, I can't remember her name, but she was like infamous in the Russell T Davies era. This panel of like Earthshock Cyberman and a team of the Cybermen in the background, and that was pretty cool, sort of thing. And they are trying to sort of explain this and that, and the Doctor is trying to get a grasp of the white holes and in time and what they're doing and that. So it does feel like it's building towards something, and that like it's a stepping stone towards something like big. I think it's a must-have for anyone who's really into multi-Doctor stories, as opposed to maybe a 12th Doctor story. But yeah, thanks for watching, comment, rate and subscribe.